Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Middle-Aged Barbarians. I am Eugene, and today I have the Barbarian class that was just revealed for the new 2024 5th edition revision. I don't know what we're going to be calling it, but whatever they decide to call it, that'll be it. There are a lot of changes coming up to the Barbarian. We had the pleasure of hearing not only the core class, but 4 subclasses that they described, which are the Berserker, the Wild Heart, which was previously known as the Totem. What is this? The Zealot, which is something I hadn't heard. I guess I heard that was from Xanathar. I never had a chance to read it before. And the new subclass, which is the World Tree Barbarian, which is very, very interesting. But let's go a little bit back into the core class. Like I said, a lot of changes. They are now getting weapon mastery at first level, which is going to be a common theme among the different martial classes. Now, I heard the official video, and then I got to see another video from a different channel. Can I mention the channel that I saw it on? All right, I saw it on Dungeon Dudes. Shout out to them. They have no idea who I am. And they mentioned a couple different things, not only for the core class, but also for mainly the subclass, the World Tree class. And one thing that they did mention is that now barbarians will recover their rage uses with a short rest. So more rage, more fun. They are modifying the rage. It's going to be easier to maintain, so you can enjoy raging more by 2 different ways. Besides the standard, keep attacking or take damage, you can now extend the rage by forcing the enemy to do a saving throw. They mentioned the fact, or the example rather, of like a dragonborn barbarian using their breath weapon to cause the enemy to make a saving throw against the attack. That counts. And the other, which will probably be the more common use, but then you'll have to balance out what you do, is using a bonus action to keep the rage going. From what I understand, rage is still going to last 10 rounds. Although I think I heard a rumor around there that it may be lasting longer. We'll see. Level 2, Danger Sense. It's always going to be active. You don't have to see the danger around your character. As long as you are not incapacitated, you will have your Danger Sense active. Level 3, Primal Knowledge is getting revamped. And from here it says that while you are raging, you can use certain skills with your Strength modifier instead of the skill's regular modifier. They mentioned 3 skills. Intimidation, I can fully get. I mean, you're really, really upset. You're screaming. You're angry. And you can intimidate your enemies. Persuasion, you can scare them into being on your side of the argument. But they also mentioned stealth. I don't get this one. I don't understand how strength and rage can help you with stealth. On the contrary, I think you'd be more of a hulking brute, knocking things around and just being more of an evident presence in the battle. But whatever, that's what they say. So now you can use strength for a bunch of different skills. We'll have to wait and see what they actually publish. Level 7th comes with, I think they call it Instinctive Pounce. Basically, when you activate your rage, you can just launch yourself and fall on top of your enemies and bring them death from above. Level 9 has Brutal Strike, which takes the place of Brutal Critical. Apparently, people weren't enjoying as many critical hits as they would have liked to enjoy this skill, so they've changed it. It is now related to Reckless Attack. You forego the advantage on your roll, and you deal extra damage, and they mentioned something like doing an extra effect. This is kind of related to the weapon skills, the weapon masteries that they're adding to the game. I heard something about pushing or slowing your enemy. Other skills, the farther up on the level ladder you go. And then, the only thing that worries me a little bit about this is, again, like with the fighter that we spoke about before, the paladin, you're adding so many options that this may slow down even more combat unless you have players that are on top of it and they're always, reviewing and thinking about what they're doing before. But anyway, level 11 brings us to Relentless Rage. This is going to give extra HP. This was like the paladin skills from yesterday where they would be revived with just 1 hit point. They're scrapping that and they're letting the character be revived with a slightly bigger, yet not probably too big, pool of HP so they don't just fall down again. I think that's basically the main changes to the core classes, and then that'll bring us to the 4 subclasses that they talked about. We'll start with the basic, the Berserker subclass, which I think is the Barbarian by excellence, the most classical build. And they've done a bunch of stuff. For example, Frenzy, and this, I'm noticing it with a group of new players that one of the guys is using a Barbarian, and he just got access to Frenzy. He's only used it once because, exhaustion sucks. And if the more you use it, the more you get exhausted, then you're not going to really want to use it. So it's really cool, I think, that they redesigned it. And now I think it works kind of similar to the Reckless Attack Brutal Strike thing, where you're going to give up advantage, you're going to probably take more damage, but then you're going to be able to add more damage. I don't know how this will synergize with Brutal Strike once you get both options, but it'll be interesting to see how much damage you can actually output. Next ability is Mindless Rage. Instead of just one enemy, you're going to be able to do it to everybody that's around you. Mindless Rage, you are going to be able to end your Charmed and Frightened ability instead of it just being suppressed during the Mindless Rage skill. They moved around a couple of abilities. Retaliation is going down to 10th level, so you can have those reaction attacks more often. And they're moving Intimidating up to 14th. And then this is what they will be adding, more of an area of effect and involving all the enemies that are in that area instead of just one enemy. Wild Heart, which is the new name for the totem. They didn't get too into details, but from what I understand, every time you advance to one of the subclass tiers, instead of focusing on just 3 animal types, they're changing the names, and they're giving you a lot more fluidity or a lot more options to move between the different abilities from the 3rd level, 6th level options, etc. For example, they mentioned the level 6 options. There was a salmon that would give you like a swim speed, a panther that would give you a climb speed, and an owl that could give you dark vision. So obviously this is going to open up more options as well into like the role-playing aspect or the non-combat aspects of Dungeons & Dragons, which has been a recurring theme in this revised edition. I'm going to leave the World Tree for last because I think that's the coolest and probably I don't want to say controversial, but it's going to be the biggest subclass addition to the Barbarian, in my opinion. And we're going to go to the Zealot. Like I mentioned before, I had never heard of the Zealot. I've never really read too much into Xanathars. But it's apparently like a divine barbarian, a paladin barbarian, mix, hybrid. So it's going to get something called Warrior of the Gods, which is going to give it a pull of dice to heal, except like a lay on hands, but it's not going to be able to heal the other characters. It's just for themselves, which is, I guess, fine if you're a barbarian. Every man for themselves. They're going to have an ability called Fanatical Focus, so they can just re-roll. It's going to be similar to the original one from what they said, but they're going to add a bonus. I don't know what exactly that means. Probably add maybe your barbarian level or some kind of proficiency bonus to the roll to make it more viable. And then they mentioned that at level 14, you're going to get Capstone, which is I don't know, you're not going to be, this is similar to the other one where you're not going to drop to 0 hit points. Yeah, I mean, the Zealot, honestly, I didn't find it too interesting, but you are going to get a bunch of stuff as well, like flying resistances with that ability. I think what they mentioned was a lot of the abilities of the Zealot had to deal with the character reaching 0 hit points or dying, and they wanted to change that a bit so it's more viable. So you're probably going to be activating these with your rage abilities as well. Now, last and definitely not least is the new subclass, which is the World Tree subclass Barbarian. And this was pretty much basically the whole information was from that Dungeon Dudes video, which is pretty interesting, and they have a couple of cool ideas on how to use and abuse these abilities, but we'll just go over the generalities of it. They mentioned this World Tree, kind of like I think of it like a multiverse between all the different worlds of Dungeons & Dragons and the way this tree connects those different worlds. They're going to give the Barbarian a lot of cool, interesting powers. I think it's more 4th edition-y. But yeah, you're going to be able to teleport. Like they mentioned, at 3rd level, there's going to be an ability called Vitality of the Tree. This is going to give the Barbarian temporary hit points, and then every round he's going to be able to give a teammate that's close by to him more temporary hit points. And I'm talking like the dice is based on his rage damage bonus. 3rd level, that's 2d6 temporary hit points every round. This guy is a beast. He's going to be more powerful than a cleric or a paladin unless they change the cleric in some way, because he's going to be dishing out, hit points here, hit points there. He's not going to be able to take them for himself, but I mean, like they said, he has resistances and stuff, so he's not going to really need them. 6th level, there's an ability called Branches of the Tree, which if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be a reaction, and then you're going to be able to pull an enemy towards you that's within 30 feet if they fail a save. It's kind of like a spell save, but with strength, because it's your strength modifier, proficiency, and +8, which is the base for that. So you're going to teleport the enemy to you. You can choose to take away their speed. So you're basically having them stay right next to you. This is a reaction, so it's at the beginning of their turn that you choose to do this. And then, obviously when it's your turn, you can just go crazy at them. I did hear some theory about how you could do this maybe with an ally, because it doesn't necessarily say enemy, it just says a creature. So maybe you can use this to save an ally that's going to be, severely hurt or is in need of assistance, which is kind of cool. And then that leads us to there's another ability called, I'm sorry, I don't understand my handwriting. Battling Roots? What was it called? Oh, Battering Roots. Sorry. Thank you, producer. It gives you an extended reach of 10 feet with a weapon, and then you can add either a push or a topple effect to the weapon attack. And this synergizes with the weapon ability from the weapon mastery skill that the Barbarians have. So, I mean, just from your basic weapon, you're not going to be able to hit something 15 feet away. If you use a polearm or something with reach, you're going to extend that to 20 feet away. So the Barbarian is not just going to be a menace for things around him. He's going to be crazy with the reach with this subclass. And then, even the dudes were mentioning like mixing and matching, because you can topple and you can push if your weapon has the complementary skill. So you're knocking them down, you're throwing them away, you're causing havoc on the battle grid, which is pretty cool, to be honest. And the last ability they mention is called Travel Along the Tree. Now this is crazy teleporting abilities, because you can move yourself as a bonus action 60 feet, and I think once per raid you can move your whole team 150 feet. That's crazy. I mean, when I play, I don't even have 150 feet on the grid I'm using, so this is going to be very interesting to see how this can be used and abused. Again, I'm getting big 4th edition vibes with all the leader movements and pushing things around like if they were pieces on a game board. And I'd love to see how I can use this as a DM to give my player characters, my party, a little bit of grief. Because this all sounds really nice and fun when it's a player using it. I don't know how it's going to be when it's being used against them. I think they're going to start crying and moaning a little bit when you knock them down and push them away and then pull them to you and they can't get up and they lose their round. It seems a little unfair, but let's just hope that they manage to balance this all out. All right, well, that's all I have for the Barbarian. As usual, like, comment, subscribe, leave any suggestions, questions you may have. Follow us on our social medias. We've updated the description below, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
Roll the dice!